A Place Called Home by Laurie Wick. Chapter 23. With a final look in the mirror that took in a fresh shirt and clean blue jeans, Silas headed down the hall to Luke's room. Luke, having just slipped into his suit jacket, turned to find Silas standing in his bedroom, eyebrows raised in surprise. Luke would have left the room at that time, but Silas wandered in and dropped down on the bed, eyeing his brother with amusement. "You've already impressed the Chambers family enough to get the horses at a good price. Why the suit?" Before Luke could answer, Silas went on. "It wouldn't have anything to do with the address of one Miss Caroline Chambers I saw on your dresser, would it? I just thought it would be nice to welcome them to Baxter smelling better than a horse." Luke's voice sounded defensive, even to his own ears, and he wasn't sure why. He really didn't expect to see Caroline, let alone encourage her if he did. Movement below Silas's beard told Luke he was fighting laughter. Silas looked down at himself before asking with feigned innocence, "Do I smell all right? Maybe I should change into a suit too." This brought a reluctant smile to Luke's face, and his voice was gruff to hide his amusement. "Get to the wagon, Silas, before I leave you home." Baxter's train station was uncrowded, unusual for a Saturday afternoon, but a blessing nonetheless. The three horses coming in for the Cameron Ranch would be ready for a low-key arrival. Luke and Silas stood together and watched the train pull in. Luke's hand went to the neckline of his shirt when the second person went by and greeted him as Mark. Silas's laughter didn't help. The train had stopped and people were disembarking, so there was no more time to worry about clothing. Within minutes, Frank Chambers was on the platform, his eyes skimming over the station. Luke stepped over to him, Silas at his heels. "Luke!" Frank Chambers' hand was extended, and his smile was friendly. "Good to see you, Frank. How was the trip?" "It was fine, just fine." "Where is Mrs. Chambers?" "She didn't come. Our niece had her baby, so Lily stayed home to mother hen." Frank looked his disappointment. Luke was about to introduce Silas when Caroline stepped from behind her father. "Hello, Luke," she said softly. The look in her eyes was nothing short of worshipful. Feeling a bit flustered, Luke made the introductions. Caroline barely took time to nod in Silas's direction before her eyes once again clung to Luke. Frank didn't seem to notice. Silas left immediately after that to check on the horses. Frank went with him, leaving Luke and Caroline alone. "I've missed you, Luke." Caroline's voice was soft and a bit anxious, nervous eyes shining up at him. Luke only smiled faintly and asked about the luggage. He then bent to lift the large trunk and missed Caroline's face, her disappointment clearly revealed. Luke hauled the trunk into the wagon before leaving Caroline to assist the men. Frank had a mare's lead in each hand. Silas was holding the stallion when Luke approached. "You certainly didn't exaggerate, Luke. He's a beauty." Silas's voice, more than words, spoke his admiration. Luke smiled and patted the firm neck, speaking softly to the magnificent animal. Titan was black, completely black, from the tip of his proud nose to the end of his long tail. His eyes showed intelligence and spirit. A sound from the mares caught his attention. He answered with a loud snort, sidestepped, and tossed his finely shaped head. "Let's get this guy home. We'll drop the Chambers at the hotel and head out." Some hours later, the three horses were settled in their new home, fed and comfortable. As the men headed back to the house, Silas spoke. "I take it you are not headed back into town tonight?" "How did you know that?" "Miss Chambers didn't look too happy with you when we left." "No, she didn't, did she?" Luke replied with a frown. "It was Frank's idea. He said he was beaten that they would see us in the morning. I forgot to tell Grandma M that there would be 2 more for dinner tomorrow." "It won't matter. I'll tell her in the morning." "You will? Where will I be?" "Oh, I figured you'd go and have breakfast at the hotel with the Chambers. I can get Graham's chores." "Oh, well, thanks for the offer, Si. I'll think on it." The men had reached the back porch. It was getting cooler, the days shorter. The sun was sinking low. "What did you think of her?" "I didn't really get a chance to talk with her." Silas's answer was accompanied by a small shrug, but the look Luke shot him clearly stated that he believed Silas had sidestepped the question. With a heavy sigh, Silas answered, "She seems young." Luke's face was pensive. "I think so too." The men fell silent for a time. As the sun dipped behind the trees and hills, it cast an orange glow on the Cameron ranch. Silas stood and stretched. "I'm headed in, but I want to tell you something I believe with all my heart. God won't hide his answers from you. If Caroline is the woman God has for you, you'll know. If you continue to trust, he'll continue to be your guide." These words said, Silas touched Luke's shoulder and went into the house. Alone now, and in deep thought, Luke sat until darkness completely covered the land.